Chapter 36 of Christmas and Christmas Lore. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. Recording by Chris Bloom. Christmas and Christmas Lore by T.G. Crippen. Chapter 36, Masking. Among the upper classes, it was not unusual at Christmas time to present a mask, in which persons of the highest distinction did not disdain to take a part. This appears to have been a new fashion introduced in the time of Henry VIII and to have reached its highest development under James I. A large number of court masks were written by Ben Jonson, who on the mechanical and scenic side was ably assisted by the royal architect Inigo Jones. One of the most notable of these was The Mask of Christmas, in which there were 12 principal and 13 or 14 subordinate characters. First came Father Christmas, with 2 or 3 of his guard and a drum beaten before him. He wore a close doublet, round hose, long stockings cross-gartered, white shoes, a high-crowned hat with a brooch, and a little ruff. He had a long thin beard and carried a truncheon. Then came his 10 children, led in a string by Cupid, and each with a suitable attendant. Misrule wore a red velvet cap with a sprig, a short cloak, and a great yellow ruff. His torchbearer carried a basket with a cheese and a rope. Carol had a red cap and a long tawny coat with a flute hanging at his girdle. His torchbearer carried a songbook open. Minced Pie was neatly dressed as the cook's wife. Her man carried a pie on a dish and a spoon. Gamble appeared as a tumbler with a hoop and bells. His torchbearer was armed with a coal staff and a blinding cloth. Post and Pear had a pair royal of aces in his hat. His garment was done over with pears and purrs. His squire carried a box with cards and counters. New Year's gift was like a serving man in a blue coat with an orange and a sprig of rosemary gilt on his head. His hat is stuck full of brooches, and his collar is made of gingerbread. His torchbearer carries a marchpane and a bottle of wine on each arm. Mumming wears a pied suit with a visor. His torchbearer carries a box and rings it. Wassail is a neatly dressed maiden. Her page bears a brown bowl dressed with ribbons and rosemary before her. Offering wears a short gown and carries a porter's staff. His torchbearer goes before him with a basin and a withe. Finally, Babycock is dressed like a little boy in a fine long coat and a cap with earpieces, with bib, makender, and a little dagger. His usher carries a great cake with a bean and a peas. With all due respect to the undoubted genius of Royal Ben, it must be owned that the speeches assigned to these characters are not worthy of his reputation, and the action, apart from the dancing, is mere buffoonery. It has been thought that mumming was a mere degraded survival of masking, but it would rather seem from this description that masking is a later development and glorification of mumming. End of chapter 36.